Well, it seemed fitting this week with Hurricane Matthew rearing its ugly head that we play something a little different for you. Just to give you an update on me, I was actually in that mess yesterday, was able to get a flight out of Dodge last night, so happy to be here in Medford, Massachusetts. Of course, bringing you the action from last week in Week 4 of the NFL season. Let's start at the top of the standings. Cam put an absolute beatdown on the old man to stay perfect atop the League of Legends standings at 4-0. Not many negative things to say about being 4-0, so should we start to wonder if the boy wonder will ever lose a game? We shall see. Staying in second place this week with a win over his old man himself is Bill DeFerrari, who now moves to 3-1 on the standings, thanks in large part to AJ Green's big Thursday night performance. But hey, Bill, we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. You may have to talk to your boy Steven Gostkowski and find out what's going on there. Put up a goose egg, of course, last week with the Patriots not scoring any points and missed a pretty pivotal field goal in that game as well. Should we be worried? That's the question. Speaking of worried, a lot of people had Sean a little bit worried this start of the season there, starting out 0-2, but look at him now. He's in third place in the League of Legends standings. Those early high point totals, even in a losing effort, paid off for him as he moves up to third place at 2-2. And he's got Le'Veon Bell back in the lineup here. So should we or should we not start thinking about Sean towards the top of the standings from this point moving forward? Speaking of moving forward, that's not the case right now for Steve DeFerrari. Feel like I put a little hex on you, bud. Sorry about that. He started off the season so hot, 2-0. He's lost his last two games, moving back to 2-2. Steve's got some injuries right now to some key players, including Cam Newton. And what was up with him on that two-point conversion? Looked like he was going to walk into the end zone. He slowed it up and took a pop as he did. That could be a problem this week for his availability on the Monday night game. So Steve's going to have to make a decision on Sunday whether or not he's going to play. Speaking of playing on Sunday, Adam had a good showing last week. Unfortunately for him, it was in a losing effort, so he falls to 2-2 on the standings and moves into fourth place in the League of Legends. And hey, Adam, what was up with the 33 points you left on the board there with Michael Crabtree? Those 3 touchdowns really would have helped you out in this week's action. The guy who was actually able to overtake Adam, of course, was myself. Drew moves to 2-2 on the standings. And hey, congratulations, you scored over 100 points. It's nice to see you come back. And also, nice little golf clap for Julio Jones, who put up a measly 48 fantasy points after shitting the bed the previous week. I think it's safe to say that he's pretty good at American football. Speaking of pretty good at American football, Dennis moves to 2-2 with a big win over Ryan last week. Hey, Dennis, looks like one of those tight ends is actually going to work out for you. Jimmy Graham has started to show some life there for the Seattle Seahawks. Guy looked like he was dead in the water there, no pun intended. But look at him now. He's coming back and rounding into form. He's on a bye this week, but that could be somebody in the future that Dennis has at his disposal. Speaking of a disposal, Dave's team last week, brutal 77 total fantasy points were scored by Dave, which goes down, at least it has to, as one of the lowest scoring outputs of any team in the League of Legends history. It's really just poetic justice that Frank Gore, his oldest member on the team, scored the most points for Dave last week. Wow, Dave, you're going to start to need to make some moves there, brother, to get some point totals in your favor. Speaking of point totals in your favor, unfortunately for Ryan, that has not been the case this year. He's lost a couple of tough games this year, moving to 1-3, including his loss last week to Dennis. He now falls to 9th in the League of Legends standings. Doesn't look right for Willie Snead right now, so what's up with that on Ryan's team? He only had 1 catch for 23 yards for his entire output on the game. Ryan's going to need more out of him. He's going to need more out of some of his guys in order to make the climb back up the standings. Speaking of at the bottom of the standings, that's Bud, of course, with a record of 0-4, still winless on the season, really not putting up a lot of points in those efforts as well. But hey, Bud, look on the bright side, brother. Fantasy hockey is right around the corner. Hey, let's go. See ya next week.